Welcome. I'm Sebastian Mahfood, and you're listening to WCAT Radio, the on-air wing of En Route Books and Media, bringing you the dulcet sounds of Catholic wisdom with Bob Olson, who will now introduce today's show and speaker.
Welcome to The Messenger, a program offered by Tony Szalkiewicz, featuring messages of amazing things happening in the Catholic Church. And now here he is. Here's Tony.
Good day, Bob. How are you?
Good, Tony. Good to talk to you again.
Yeah. Well, like I said a little bit earlier before we got online, went to a Chester fair, a country fair in New England, typical New England fair. And you had mentioned you were there to see the same thing, that pig race.
Oh, those little pigs that they race in the water.
Yeah, they just run, they run around in circles. That's what they do.
Really?
And they had I witnessed two sets of races, and then the last one, and I don't know if they had more after the one, but I just stayed for three. It was a big, heavy pigs, and they hit the bell, go, and just one made it through the finish line, didn't stop. The other ones were looking around at the people and all stuff like that. It was hysterical, you know?
Yeah, I know. I saw him, I don't know, maybe 4, 5, 6 years ago.
Yeah. So it's cute because all the young kids were there. I love watching the small children. They're hysterical. They had the rides, of course, and it was fun. And we had a perfect day for it. Man, you couldn't make a day like today. So what I'm going to do is continue with. First, I want to talk a little bit about who Jesus came for.
Yeah.
And the definition that pops in my mind today was the Gentiles. And who were the Gentiles? Well, we're talking about who Jesus came for.
Yeah.
The Gentiles. And basically, who were the Gentiles? Everybody except for the Jews. Everybody else. So, does that exclude all other faiths, all other religions? So, a great deal of discernment has to go into any one of these prophecies of these miracles. But in order to really discern, you got to know a little bit about your faith. And I did bump into a fallen out Catholic today, and she was totally unaware of Pope Leo the 13th's prophecy, and also she's unaware of the book called The Harbinger, written by a rabbi out of New Jersey, which explains what 9/11 was all about. So, you guys.
Can you talk?
Feedback?
No, we're doing fine. Can you talk a little bit about the Harbinger? Tell us a little bit of what it was about.
Yeah, the Harbinger explains what really happened in 9/11. And the best description I think I can come up with, not acute to it right away. I mean, I've read that a few years back. But basically, 9/11 was what? A financial institution, two buildings that were basically the nut of all the financial wealth in the U.S.
Right.
And so the thing was destroyed, just like the Tower of Babel, which the king tried to be like God. It was destroyed. Now, one would think that, okay, so the terrorists destroyed the Towers of Babel. But when you get into the Harbinger, it explains biblically the connection between 9/11, the Tower of Babel, and the old ancient writings of our religion. And it's amazing. There's a DVD that came out with the Harbinger, and I recall one senator quoting, not realizing what he was saying, word for word, something that came out of ancient history. And it was, word for word. He didn't even know that he was quoting it. He thought he had something he said, and it wasn't. It was word for word, something that came over old scripture, And I just thought that was like mind-boggling. So the Harbinger is by, I think it's Rabbi Kahn, if I recall, but it's Harbenger. It's a great book to read. And discern. You got to discern it too. Say, what is that all about? I was telling my friend, you know, Bill O'Keefe, Bob, right? You know who he is.
Right.
And Bill was, you know, I talked to him about the book, and he kept yelling at me, saying, you know, I'm sick of hearing it, blah, 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 that type of thing. And then I knew about a month later, after he was trying to tell me to shut up about it, he was going to Chicago on a business trip. So I bought him a book, and I says, here, read it and shut up. Well, that night, he called me 5 times from Chicago.
Wow.
I mean, I can't believe reading this book. He says, Tony, this book's amazing. I says, yeah, the guy did a lot of research on it, and it you know, sounds very valid to me, and right on the money. So, you didn't read it, I take, Bob, right?
Not yet.
Not yet. You know what? I'm going to have to see if I can find my copy and try to get it.
I got a copy.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Well, you got to start reading it, my friend. You know? It's interesting. Very interesting. So that's about because I was challenged by my wife and a friend of mine saying that maybe all these miracles might be influenced by the evil one. And, you know, I can't negate the fact that that's a possibility. You know, although it's hard for me to understand why he would do that, you know. But anyways, just keeping that in mind, we should discern all these things to see if they're really valid or not. Okay?
Right.
So tonight I'm going to talk about the image of Jesus in a hospital window. In 2008, visitors to Florida. Oh, this is the one we knew about in Florida, Bob. You remember 2008?
Yep.
Florida Hospital Medical Complex, Orlando, Florida.
Yep.
It was crowded around a prayer garden window to witness the image of Jesus, which miraculously appeared there. And let me get to the meat of it right here. Give me a minute to turn a page. Let me see now. Oh, no, that was Jesus. Let me see if this one. Sounds like I'm getting some. What was that? Did you hear that, Bob?
No.
I'm getting some, it sounds like air on the program, a bunch of air. Are you moving around, maybe?
No, I'm just, I think my battery.
Your
my
what?
battery's, oh, no, I'm okay now.
Yeah, did you plug it in?
Yep.
It's hard to run a machine without, with dead batteries. So anyways, April 2006, it appeared in a garden window. And there's quote, there's just a whole bunch of people putting the cell phones to the window. So I went over there and I saw a glow, said hospital visitor Joe Kazuda. Quote, when you are standing there and there is a flurry of people talking about it, you are like, wow, I'm actually here. The unexplained image is now being investigated, but a hospital official said that as long as it made people feel good, that's all that was mattered. Now, let me add a couple things about this particular window. I know, is this the one about, there was one window I know, I think it was with Mary appearing in a window in Florida, but they actually had to remove the window. They tried to scrub the image off and remove it. They couldn't do that. So it says on, are you there?
Yep.
So the teacher, Amanda Pagramore, said, quote, when his mom showed it to me, I couldn't believe it. I've never seen anything like it. It's one in a million thing. End of quote. His shocked mother, Wendy, 39, said, quote, when he showed it to me, I said, oh my God, it's just unbelievable. Everyone I've shown it to has been floored. Some people have had to sit down because of the shock. I think it's even strange that it appeared at Easter. We just can't believe it. That's that image of Jesus, you know?
Yeah.
How about that one?
Yep.
So there's another one that's kind of related. Well, these are all going to be related a little bit. It said on April 2nd, 2007, digital photographs made during a mountainside ceremony in Poland to mark the second anniversary of Pope John Paul II's death caused a stir. During the late Pope's pontifex, devout Poles would light fires on the Moska mountain in southern Poland as a greeting to the Pope when he visited the area. Since his death, the tradition has become a commemorative celebration. Gizgok Lasik, I don't know how to say that's Polish. I'm a Polish guy. It's called Lukasik. Took various photographs during the event in April and later realized that one held an image claimed to be that of the late pontiff bending forward, making a sign of blessing. The automatic timestamp on a digital image coincided precisely with the time at which John Paul died in 2005. Quote, maybe that was a kind of sign given the time and a place where it was taken, said Lakushka, whatever his last name is. And I'm looking at an image of it looks like an image of a person, you know? Like all in white. Interesting. Then there's the face of what is that noise? Bob, are you moving around?
No, I'm just trying to get this charged up.
Oh, because I'm hearing some noises behind the background. Okay, the face of Jesus appeared in roots of a plant. In May 2006, 52-year-old Martin Gregory from Belvedere in Kent, UK, was tending his garden where he came across a remarkable sight, the face of Jesus in the roots of the plant. Mr. Gregory removed an asparagus plant from his pot, which had been in the garden for 20 years, because he thought it was dying. But in the plant's root system, Mr. Gregory saw the face of Jesus. It was, quote, the most weird thing I've ever seen. The roots are fantastic, end of quote, said Mr. McGregor. Quote, you can actually make out a thorn around his head, his eyes, and nose, end of quote. Mr. Gregory is not religious, but said the image in the roots, quote, looked so much like the face, it took my breath away. Now, remember that priest down at Moodus with Father Bill McCarthy? I can't think of his name, but that little Asian guy?
Oh, yeah.
He had remember he had the roses
yes.
that were given to him?
He takes the trips to Medjugorje.
Yeah, but I think he got these roses from somebody who was having apparitions in New York.
Oh, okay.
And, do you know how the story goes?
No.
All right, so I saw the roses. So the petals fell off the rose, the one rose, and on each of the petals you can distinctly see, very clearly see the Stations of the Cross. And they used to be on the website myfathershouse.com, Moodus, Connecticut. Father Bill did post those at one time on the website. I'm not sure if they were there because I haven't been on that site in a while. But I thought that was pretty remarkable. So the other thing is an image of Jesus seen on a church's cloth. Thousands of people have visited a church in a remote fishing village on Prince Edward's Island off the east coast of Canada to see an image of Jesus on a cloth that hangs behind the altar. Hey, before I get going with this, I don't know if you're aware of this, Bob, but that's when they did the renovations at St. Pius X Church in Middletown, Connecticut.
Yeah.
They built a brand new altar, of course, facing now the people, because that was changed by Second Vatican II. If you look on the left-hand leg, you can actually see the divine image of Jesus in the grain of wood. And if you look to the left of it on the walls, it's hanging the same image. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Now, if I look at the altar,
yeah, the leg on the left-hand side is the Divine Mercy image of Jesus, like St. Faustina had painted for him, commissioned to have.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I told the priest there about it, So there's an image seen on the church's cloth. Angela,
Did the priest know about it?
Yeah, I told him about it. Yeah, they don't say too much about it,
Okay.
Of course, you know that the image itself, that the crucified, the corpses on the cross. Years ago, you could actually see on the left-hand shoulder a dove, and then in the chest, the belly section of Jesus, you could see God the Father, his face. But they distorted it, because it's one of those image-type deals that they were worried about. So I thought that was pretty bad. But they did it. I don't know who commissioned that. So going on with this one about the church's cloth, Angela Callahan, a parishioner of St. Simon in St. Jude Roman Catholic Church in Tignish, first saw the image on Friday, March 2006, while praying in front of the altar. Words quickly spread, and since then, numerous visitors have come to view the cloth. Some see an image of Jesus, while others see the image of the Madonna on a purple cloth, which is embroiled with a gold-colored crown of thorns. The church has used the same cloth for 2 years, but this is the first time people have seen an image. Quote, I believe Jesus sent us this for a reason. He wants us to think, said one visitor. A total churchgoer said that she sees the face of Jesus in the cloth. I know I see the face of Jesus, she says. How about that one? I'm getting feedback somehow.
When was that last one? Where was that?
That was in the UK, I believe. Hang on a minute. In Canada, Prince Edward Island.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, off the east coast of Canada. Well, I mean, we have the Tilma, which is down in Mexico City, right?
Yeah. Of
our Blessed Mother, Our Lady of Guadalupe. The tilma, which is made out of cactus roots, they cut the cactus, they turn it upside down, they cut the bottom out, and they pull these strands of liquid strands of cactus out, and then they take the liquid out of it, dry it out, and then they weave this tilma out of it. And the tilma typically lasts 30 years. I think that tilma is over 300 years. And the image of the Blessed Mother is on that tilma. Now, Juan Diego, who there's a whole story about that in Mexico. Juan Diego was had to bring it as a miracle to the bishop, who didn't believe that he was seeing the Blessed Mother and wanted the chapel built on the first place she appeared. So he said to Juan, "Bring me an image. Bring me a miracle from the Blessed Mother." So 2 things he brought down. He brought down the tilma. He brought down some roses, which was rare. I guess they didn't even exist in Mexico at the time, because it was dead winter too. And the Blessed Mother says, "Hold this tilma very close to your chest and let nobody see it." So So as he ran down, of course, holding some roses and then holding the tilma, everybody said, "Oh, Juan, what do you have? What do you have?" Because he's a peasant person. He wasn't, just typical lay person. And he says, "Oh, I can't show you." And then in front of the bishop and other people, he gave him the roses, or the roses fell to the floor, and the tilma opened up. And I believe this. I believe that the image was presented to the bishop as it rolled open. It actually appeared on the tilma. Because if it wasn't that, there's no mention in any of the literature that I read saying, "Oh, Juan, who painted the image?" You see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not what's said, Bob. It's what isn't said.
That's true.
You got to tune in. You got to tune into that. I mean, a lot of things are said, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's all the information you need to hear. So, and there's many things with the image of Our Lady of Guadalupe, which we'll get into just that. That's like a whole study all by itself. Let me see, where are we here? The miracle on St. George's Hill. In the city of Sault Marie, Ontario, Canada, on St. George's Hill, there's a 120-foot illuminated steel cross, the first sight seen by many U.S. visitors, crossing the international bridge into Canada. Is it intended to be a symbol of spiritual unity at the geographic center of North America? It has become known as the Cross of the Ascensi of the continent. At the foot of the cross is a non-denominational Oasis of Peace garden, as well as a French language school, Notre Dame des Grands Lacs. I don't know how you say that. Notre Dame. Now it got me thinking. I was up in that area. I don't remember seeing this. On Monday, the 24th of January, 2005, the school's principal, Stephen Picard, its groundskeeper, Jerry Goulet, math teacher Christopher Gravel, and a large number of students saw the cross structure swaying from side to side during a 2.5-hour period. Quote, about 25 to 30 feet below the cross's arm, down to the bottom, says stationary. Was stationary, said Gravel. Above that point, the cross moved from left to right, a foot in each direction. He began to time the rhythmic movement, which worked out to be about 44 beats per minute. Quote, it was constant like a metronome, and it was going left to right, he said. So concerned were the teachers that classes were temporarily moved to the school library for safety. All witnesses reported that there was no wind and that the structure had never been seen to move before. The principal and the math teacher both heard a cracking noise at the top of the cross as it moved. So they called in an engineer firm to check the structural damage. Engineer Bob Wood found no structural damage and said the cross could not have moved in the way described, although he could not refute the witnesses' statements. However, Gary Goulet, author of A History of a Cross, the cross at the center of the continent, is certain that it was a sign. What is that background noise, Bob?
I don't hear anything.
You don't hear? I hear like it's wind blowing in the background.
No, I don't hear anything.
All right. When you talk, I don't hear it. All right,
no.
so yeah. Then there's another one. Circular rainbow appears. A mysterious circular rainbow appeared twice on the ceiling of a church in Casey County, Kentucky, USA, in May of 2005. Pastor Rick Hoagie first saw the rainbow on 22nd of May while teaching Sunday school in the sanctuary of Rich Hill Christian School. He described it as a band of light. about 7 feet in diameter, which changed slightly in length, width, and color before vanishing. The rainbow image reappeared on the sanctuary's low tile ceiling at the start of a morning service and was seen by 60 members of the congregation. Pastor Hugo said, quote, "It had 3 bright lights in the center of it. I had plenty of witnesses. When it first came up, everybody saw it in awe. I mean, just silence. And it was unbelievable how bright and radiant it was." End of quote. His wife described the colors as purple, red, green, and traces of yellow. The sky outside was cloudy. The pastor adjusted blinds before bright objects and turned lights out to see if the reflection of the light was the cause. But the rainbow remained unchanged, only fading when the service ended. Quote, "I am still asking the Lord for discernment on what it completely means," he said. What do you think?
Have you been to Medjugorje? Have you been to Medjugorje? I mean,
yeah, I've been.
No,
twice.
not Medjugorje. To Our Lady of Guadalupe.
Yeah, I have.
Well, now tell us about the cross and how that was all bent up when someone tried to bomb Our Lady of Guadalupe.
Oh, so yeah. Well, there's a couple strange things. See, in Mexico City is built on an Aztec reservation. The Aztec used to live there, and the city itself is in the bottom, in the center of a volcano. So when you're in Mexico City, you look all around you in a complete circle, and there's mountains. Of course, because it's in a volcano. And guess what's happening there? It's sinking. I mean, so bad that one of the cathedrals there, when you stand outside and they have an open door from one end to the other, one side of it where it's standing was 4 foot lower than the other side. It was like arched down. Yeah. So they had, and then another church was sinking. You could literally see it when you go there. And in that church, they had to move the image of Our Lady of Guadalupe. But what happened before this happened, somebody got in there and they tried to destroy the image of Our Lady. But near the image was this huge cross that came off the chapel, I guess, when it was sinking. And the explosion went off, and the cross itself, made out of brass, bent. It bent way over. And the image wasn't even touched.
You saw that, huh?
Yeah. Now, in the first cathedral I was telling you, there's like 3 huge churches, because they just recently, over the past several years, built another one, a big church now to house the image of Our Lady of Guadalupe. You know, that's a third church. But the first church I was telling you about that sank about 4 foot below, they were trying at the time, the government was trying to get rid of the bishop. They didn't like what he was preaching. So what they did, they knew that he venerated a crucifix inside that church every morning. So they snuck in there. They put this poison on top of the whole crucifix because he knew he would kiss the crucifix. And just an ounce of that would be enough to kill him. You know, if he just even kissed it, it would have killed him. That's how powerful that poison was. So when he arrived that next day, he found the crucifix totally black. And he knew something was wrong. And he never venerated it. He just said prayers by it. And that crucifix remains black today. And I witnessed that. That was black.
Wow.
Imagine that. Yeah, there's a lot to this stuff. So, yeah, we were there twice, and there was miracles that happened with my daughter. I think I shared that on a previous program.
Right.
I'm going to do some more study. I was just thinking about that today, as a matter of fact. And I'm going to research a little bit more about other miracles that happened in Mexico City. But eventually, that volcano, to me, I think it's still alive. Everything seems to be sinking there. So, Who knows? You know, Bob? All these
Yeah.
signs and wonders. Yeah, it makes you wonder, especially the floods that are happening around the world. You know, they're calling science. Everything's coming together, it seems. You know?
Right.
There's a lot of evil out there, and there's a lot of good out there. You know? I'm trying to focus on the good to get people back to, you better get back to God. I don't think you have a choice. It's either that or you're looking at condemnation. I say this. People say, well, if there's no God, you wasted your whole life. I says, right. If there's no God, you're right. That's exactly right. I wasted my whole life. I said, but if there's a God, I said, what did you waste? Your whole eternity. Sit on that one for a while.
I like that.
Yeah. So it's not about me. It's about the message I got to. Both of us all have to get out there, and that's what we're attempting to do. So there's another one. The holy images. A holy image at a festival of light occurred. People in Nikari district of Suriname could hardly believe their eyes when during a Diwali, it's a D-I-W-A-L-I, Diwali, the Festival of Light, on November 25th, 2004, miraculously images of gods started appearing in the temples. I don't know. This one here, I don't care that much for. But these images started appearing inside this particular temple. I don't know what that's about. You know what? It reminds me of the Second World War, though, Bob. Remember Hiroshima and Nagasaki?
Yes.
I think Hiroshima was basically a Catholic town. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, yeah.
I was told.
Oh, no, I knew that.
Yeah, so at ground zero, did you know what happened there?
Well, I don't know what you're talking about, but go ahead.
Yeah, so there was one building where they said the rosary constantly, during the war and all the time. And when the bomb went off, they were inside the building saying the rosary at the time. And when they stepped outside, not only did the building remain in place at ground zero, everything around them was devastated for miles, I guess. And yet, they never suffered any radiation, those who were inside the building.
Wow.
Stepped out. Yeah. That's a historical fact.
You talked about when the plane landed in the Hudson.
Yeah.
About there was a man on the plane that was praying the rosary.
Oh no! Oh, I didn't know that. Did I know?
Oh no!
No, I didn't know that. No.
Yeah, because remember, it was a real miracle that nobody got hurt or died.
That's true. Yeah, and I believe that. I really do believe that. Because I've heard of the power of the rosary in other places that occurred, As a matter of fact, you mentioned Medjugorje, when I was going there the first time with John Campbell, we were in the bus going there, and we were going, people were saying the rosary. And I recall in front of us, this woman pulled out a rosary, which were all silver. And as we got closer to Medjugorje, they started to turn a gold color.
Oh, yeah.
And when we got to Medjugorje, they were all gold.
Yep.
They were gold color.
That's something.
And yeah. Now, did you hear about that I think it's a 12 or 14 foot image of a bronze image, a statue of, I believe is it Jesus or Joseph? Do you remember hearing this one?
No.
Okay, so there's this huge statue in front. I don't recall who it's from, which one it was, Jesus or Joseph. But they erected this a few years ago, and people go up and they rub the right leg. Now this is bronze, right, metal. Because out of that, there's one area that's high polished right now. Because out of that leg keeps coming this water, either water or oil. I have to research a little bit deeper. So people bring their cloths up and they rub it and they bless themselves with it and they bring it home as a souvenir. All bronze. They're going on day in and day out.
Did you say that was in France?
Huh?
Did you say that was in France?
No, that's Medjugorje, Yugoslavia, where Our Lady's still appearing.
Okay.
To the kids, Medjugorje. Yep. I was there twice. And that's where remember I shared where I got the title The Messenger. That's where I sent the Blessed Mother made it a way for me to get over with John Campbell, believe it or not.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to get John. As a matter of fact, I'll be getting John back on again to talk about that trip. He's already agreed to it. He's just trying to find the time to come on. So,
did he ever come on?
Soon. Yeah, he came on once before to talk about his ministry at Central Connecticut State University.
Oh yeah.
Remember, okay. He's ministered to that university and Trinity College.
Yeah, that was good.
So that was good. Yeah, it was a good thing. All right, so here's another one. Holy water survives fire. A fire in Presleyan Wells gutted the garage, destroying everything except a bottle of holy water. Doug and Ann Megan were amazed to find a plastic bottle of holy water virtually untouched among the charred remains of the garage, which was destroyed after a neighbor's touring caravan exploded and sparked an inferno. The blaze gutted next door neighbor's conservatory and garage before spreading to the Morgan's house. It took firefighters hours to control the fire, which was caused by faulty electrical in the caravan. The couple believed everything in the garage had been destroyed until Doug Morgan made the miraculous discovery as he started clearing the debris. His mother had brought the vial of water back from Lourdes, France, more than 10 years ago, and it was kept in a canvas bag in the garage. He said, quote, "It's amazing. The only thing to survive, there's nothing left in the garage. Everything melted in the plastic, metal, glass, when he found the little bottle of holy water, which barely had a drop gone." Now, you know that part of my ministry when I went overseas with the Carmelites, we went to Lourdes, and I came home, and about 3 months later, I discovered myself handing out little vials. They call them 1 dram, D-R-A-M, of miraculous water. Now, it's not holy water. The Blessed Mother made it very clear to everybody. It's called miraculous water because it's blessed by her and God the Father. So it's above beyond what holy water is blessed by a priest. And she said, no, this is miraculous water blessed by her and God the Father, you know?
Yeah.
So I've had a couple of these little vials somehow leak in my pants, but I've never felt the water. You know, because when I handed somebody, they said, "Oh, it's empty," and I carry usually 3 or 4 at a time, and I think it's happened at least 3 times where the water somehow miraculously disappeared, but yet I've had others in stores or carried them that nothing happened. But what's amazing is not so much that they leak, because that's possible, is that I never felt it. I've never once saw it or felt it leaking. Is that something?
Yeah.
And I've heard a lot of miracles occurred, you know, from operations to healing of scars and emotions and everything that occurs with this miraculous water. I'm just a messenger. I just deliver this stuff, you know what I mean?
Right.
I put them into little vials, and I've given away over 1,000 of them, and I've heard beautiful stories. I mean, people come back and they say, "Could I have another one? Could I have another one?" You know, which you know, I do distribute them. You know, and if I see somebody who's handicapped who I think needs one, I just It's amazing because I just go over and gently put it in their hand. I says, "This is from the Blessed Mother," and you get the response that they go, "I needed that. How did you know?" It's beautiful.
Now, how many people do you run into when you're talking about things like this that don't believe in those miracles?
I have a lot of people. Some that are ongoing church. They go to church and stuff. But to be honest with you, Bob, years ago I didn't realize. I said, "Oh yeah, I believe," but I didn't really believe. So one day I was up with Father Ralph DiOrio. He had the gift of healing up there. I mean, he was the real presence of Jesus up there. Healing.
Yep.
Father Bill McCarthy has it. Karen and I were involved with the healing ministry too, so we witnessed firsthand healings of the thing. But in this particular case, this happened before I got into a lot of the ministry. I was up there, I think the second time, maybe the second or third time, and I would say, "Oh yeah, I believe." But when he held his hand out, when people were what they call slain in the spirit, and they fell over like duck pens, I mean the whole church, and me too. But this one time, even with that occurring, this one time I said, "Yeah, I believe," but I really didn't until this little, she was probably a little girl who had hearing aids, double hearing aids in. And Father Ralph picked her up and said to her, "Can you hear me?" And she goes, "Oh yeah, Father, I can hear you." Says, "Okay," says, "I want you to remove the hearing aids." So somebody, one of the assistants, the father, took him out of her ear, and he turned away from her and says, "Can you hear me?" And there was no response. So he said louder, "Can you hear me?" And you could hear it all through the church, and there was no response. So he looked her in the eye, says, and she could read lips, and says, "Would you pray for Jesus with me?" And she shook her head, yes. So as they were praying, he stopped suddenly after a few prayers, and he says, he went bang, he slapped his hands. She jumped in his arm and said, I can hear. And she could hear. She didn't need the hearing aid anymore.
Beautiful.
Isn't that beautiful?
Oh, yeah.
Then the second time, and it might have happened at the same time, this woman came into the church with a cane. She had this huge hump on the back of her back. I mean, Bob, she was basically looking at the floor. And this thing had to be in her back, at least a foot up over her back as she was bent over like a C. And she's looking forward, with her head up, like the hunchback of Notre Dame, with the cane in the right hand. So Father Ralph goes over to her and says, and you can hear, because Father DiOrio wore the wireless mic with him. He goes over, "You believe in Jesus, young lady?" "Yes, Father, I do." "Do you mind if we pray together?" "No, Father, I'll pray with you." He says, "Good, because we're two or more praying, so Jesus is present." Of course, he had the whole church behind him too. So we're all praying, and he says, and as he was approaching to the altar, she started standing up. He says, Jesus can heal you, And she didn't realize what was really happening, I don't think. And so by the time he reached the altar, Bob, he looked at her and says, "Okay, you can drop your cane. You don't need it." She was perfectly vertical. He says, "And run around the church 3 times." And she did. I mean, she ran, which she was barely walking as she came in. So Jesus is alive and doing quite well, thank you.
Well, I told you the story about when Father DeGrandis was at our parish, because he was there for what was called the Holy Spirit Conference.
Right.
50% Catholic, 50% evangelical.
Yeah.
And that was the conference. And he came over to our church, and he picked up 2 ladies to pray with. And one of them had a walker, and so he prayed with her and told her to, set her walker down and had her walk and run around the church, and she was fine. So the next morning she went to the post office, and all of her friends were there, and they said, well, where's your walker? Well, she said, I got rid of that. I got healed last night at the church. And they said, well, you don't believe in that junk, do you? I mean, we got a whole bunch of people that feel that way. They don't believe.
Oh, yeah. Who are the miracles for? Who are they for? They're not for Jesus. They're not for the Blessed Mother. Not for the Blessed Saint Joseph.
No.
It's not for, certainly not the Holy Spirit, God the Father, or the angels, or even for all the people in heaven, for that matter, or in purgatory trying to make their way to heaven. So who are the miracles for? It's for us.
That's right.
And if you don't get on board with these things, then you're missing out.
Right.
Your conversion is a point of stopping. The one thing I did read recently, and for some reason, we know of these things, but they hit home after a certain while. It says that every sin, there are certain sins that block the graces of God. So if you're committing a certain sin, you can't get a certain grace. But if you get rid of that sin and confess that sin, get rid of it, then the grace can come to you.
That's right.
It makes sense to me.
Yep.
So you work on that. I'm not saying we're perfect. We're certainly not that perfect. But we are called to holiness. That's the one thing we are called to. It's like I told the woman just today. We're always in a state of evangelizing people. And, like we said to this couple, says, we're not saying, I told her about the program I was on, told her as a third order Carmelite, tried to explain that to her. And I says, no, we're very, very spiritual. And so aren't you, we said. My wife says, and so aren't you. We're all striving to get into to head on the same path, but we're all coming in at different directions and at different levels, But we don't preach to the ones that need to hear it from God, not the ones that are already en route to God. There's so many that are hurting that need evangelization, and we hear that like on Saturday after church when the guys get together. We talk at a local restaurant, Mitchell's, and it's amazing how many people come over and we say, "Wow, we apologize. We're a little loud." Because we're having Bob, you experienced that, right?
Yeah.
We have fun. I don't see that many people in that restaurant having fun like we do. So people come over and we apologize. Oh, we're loud. And they said, you know what the response is? No, we would love to hear more.
Right.
Love to hear more. So be it. I mean, we're going to have our fun, because we know what our road is, and we're just striving to get on it, So we have here's another appearance of Sacred Heart of Jesus, Bob. Dozens of Catholic volunteers and curious people gathered on May 23rd, 2003 to witness an image of the Sacred Heart of Jesus on the trunk of an almond tree, almond tree in the community of La Vigilia de Jaban district in Dominican Republic. You do know I butcher these words, don't you?
Yeah, well, we didn't.
I chop them all up. The parishioners worshipped and prayed all afternoon and part of the night, placing candles and sacred images in front of the tree. Pablo Percado and Avado Arventas, two parishioners of the community, said that these are good signs that appear in places blessed by God. The miraculous image was found by a group of children playing in the courtyard of a house that had been abandoned for more than a year. However, the owner of the house, Ariel Rodescu de Garcia, explained that the image was in fact discovered by her youngest son 6 months before, but she did not make it public to the to avoid a lot of curious people coming to the place. Well, that's common. That's pretty typical. Well, did you remember that they had that image that appeared right in Hartford, Connecticut, on a tree? Remember?
I don't think I heard about that one.
Oh yeah, there was an image that appeared in one of the parks down by, you know where Colt's Firearm is?
I don't know Hartford very well.
Oh, you don't? Okay, so there's a big, kind of like a garden, not a garden, a big open fields there. And on one of the trees was an image of Jesus, I believe. You know?
Wow.
People were gathering around there. Oh, yeah. We had, as a matter of fact, when we had, you heard of Joseph and Denise, right? That were so-called, having apparitions of the Blessed Mother and Jesus, I believe, you know. But we were on the grounds of the property that was given to this woman gave us some property that was consecrated by Father Bell, and we were putting up. Well, we prayed there several times, and on a tree there, somebody took a picture of the tree next to where we had put up a temporary tent, which the town made us take down because of the fire we had years ago back in '34. Barnum and Bailey killed a bunch of people, so the tent had to come down. But on the tree remained an image of the crucified Christ in the tree. You could see it. You could just see it. It was right there.
Was that in Bristol or where?
Yeah, that was in Bristol, right next to the lake compounds.
Okay.
Yeah, it was on that. Yeah, you know where EWTN is?
Right.
Right next door to them, an open field. What we witnessed there was that as we were working on the Stations of the Cross, we were covered by a blue fog, and people that looked down, they says, "Hey, there's a blue fog surrounding you." And we go, what? Because we couldn't see it. But when we looked up the hill where the words were coming from, we said, well, there's a gold one around you.
Wow.
Is that something?
Yeah.
And of course, the other thing that I witnessed on that, and there were several things that happened on that miraculously, was when a guy, I think, came down from Springfield, remember with the Polaroid camera? Do you recall this, Bob?
No, I never heard that one.
All right, so he had a Polaroid camera, you know, the one that instantly develops itself. So he took a series of, and there was this guy, Bob Melafante, and I was at the end. And this guy took 4 shots, one after the other, of the sun. And as they were coming out, the 4 different images of the Blessed Mother was in the sun.
Wow.
So Bob looked at it, and within maybe 3 minutes says, oh, let me try that. And he grabbed the camera, and he took 2 pictures. And what came out was a picture of the sun, 2 images of the sun, the trees, the wires around there, and everything else. And the guy from Springfield says, you know, that's not for you. That's for me. And he grabbed the camera back, took 2 more images, 2 more separate images of the Blessed Mother.
Wow.
So that was a question of faith. You know, if you doubt it.
That was on the grounds there at Bristol?
Right on the grounds. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people said also there's like a spring on the grounds that I don't know if it was contaminated or not. We certainly didn't go by it, but some people said that they had been healed. They had some type of miracle code water that was on there, too. Well, I mean, these things, they're all around us. They really are.
You got 3 minutes.
Okay. Let me see if we can get past one more of these things. Oh. In the Croatian miracles, patterns of blood in the shape of a cross reportedly appeared on a priest's forehead as he was delivering a sermon at the Mass of Zebra, Croatia. The Congregation of the Holy Mother of Freedom Church says the stigmata-like image appeared on the face of Father Zutko Sudak as he was preaching to them about drug abuse among young people. Father Sudak first displayed stigmatas in May of 1999 when a cross appeared on his forehead, 1 week after the beatification of the Italian friar. Padre Pio, who was also said to have displayed stigmatas, also displayed them. Right, the Vatican at the time said that the mark of the cross had appeared in, quote, a way medical science could not explain, end of quote. 2 years ago, on the feast of St. Francis of Assisi, marks also appeared on Father Sudak's wrists, feet, and side, period. There you go.
Wow.
Yeah, I also, the Dance of the Sun that happened in Fatima, I personally videotaped that type of miraculous occurrence in Medjugorje, Yugoslavia. I have it on videotape. Yeah.
You got it in both places, huh?
Yeah. The sun dances in the sky. It actually goes out of orbit. You know, it does. It's
well.
You can
Go ahead.
Yeah, and it was proven by scientists. They couldn't explain it, and media specialists. They said, no, it's not a fake video. So there's a lot of things in this video that validated it, you know.
Okay, we've been listening to the messenger, Tony Szalkiewicz, and we'll be back again next week, same time, same station. And in the meantime, may God bless us, protect us from all evil, and bring us to everlasting life. Amen.
Amen. God bless.
Very good.
We hope you enjoyed the program and will join us back for another show on WCAT Radio. This is Sebastian Mahfood. Good day.